Hello and welcome to Integrate. I'm Rhiannon. Today I want to review the book Immunity to Change, How to Overcome It and Unlock the Potential in Yourself and Your Organization by Robert Kegan and Lisa Lahey. So I really like the model in this book. It really hits a bunch of different things and it's really based on some really good just general psychology. So one of the first things I really like about the book is how he talks about mental complexity. And he talks about 3 plateaus in adults, which he calls the socialized mind, the self-authorizing mind, and the self-transforming mind, which you can easily find on page 16 in the book. So I like these because they have, like I said, they have a lot of easy overlay with other models and stuff. Which I'll probably be talking about as I talk about more books. But just a little quick cap on what they are. He calls the socializing mind is the place where you learn to be a team player, a faithful follower, aligning, self-direction, and reliant. The self-authorizing mind is agenda-driven. Leader learns to lead, own compass, own frame, problem solving and independent. And the self-transforming mind is the meta leader leads to learn, multi-frame, holds contradiction, problem finding, and interdependent. And so in these frames he goes into 2 different types of challenges that you find in each of these levels. Challenges that he calls technical and adaptive. So the technical challenges are like all the skill-based ones and the ones that we more naturally go towards in solving our problems. And adaptive is about mindset. And you need the adaptive, you need to be able to meet and overcome your adaptive challenge to be able to go into the next stage of mental complexity. So I find these very good foundational things to know and understand. So I really like that model. And then from this, they go to the immunity map to help you diagnose and overcome your own immunity to change. I really like it because the entire map is actually in chapter 9. So all the beginning chapters leading up to it are good explanations, and they give a lot of good case study information, making their case on their model, which is really good. But then you can always just come back and just reference chapter 9 later whenever you want to use it. So I find that very handy and stuff. So their immunity map has 4 sections. You have to go through the model, it's pretty easy. Like you start with, you have to figure out your commitment that you're having trouble keeping to. So you find that commitment and then find, that you're having trouble keeping to or whatever, like the big ideal that you're trying to do. And then the second column in their model is you need to start asking yourself the question on why are you not able to keep that commitment? What are you doing that's actively going against that commitment? And what are you doing or what are you not doing to achieve it? So, it starts getting into those deeper layers. And then from there, the goal is to find what your hidden commitment is. Because the immunity to change is really about the reason why you're not achieving and doing things is because your brain and your body are actively trying to get these hidden commitments. And these hidden commitments are things that your brain and body think are necessary for survival. And so once you're able to locate that, then you're able to find the big assumption on why your body thinks those things, which is very key. And then I like how they really go into, by finding those big assumptions, sometimes you're going to find those big assumptions are wrong, and sometimes you're going to find that they're right. So the big assumptions that you find are wrong are pretty easy because now you know what narrative you had in your head that is just undermining things, and then you can, correct it. And I kind of find those are a bit easier. And then you find the harder ones where the big assumption is true. But now you know why you have that conflict, and now you can start thinking and doing the deeper work on how to get the 2 commitments to actually work together instead of against each other. So that's the basic model and, what I like and what I find useful, in the journey for integration. I really also like how they really focus on the ideal that you really need to take the times to find a quality big ideal at the beginning. You need to really pick a good commitment, and you really need to go through this a few times or whatever in order to find your true big assumption. Because if you don't find a big enough, if you don't choose a right or big enough thing at the beginning, then you're not going to get deep enough to actually find something that's going to work. So some things about the book that I like or whatever is that I think it's on the bumptuous scale. It's really low, so they don't write it in a way where you feel like they're drinking too much of their own Kool-Aid. They give really good case studies. They've worked with a lot of good organizations, so they give a lot of fact to show it. The things that they're pushing on that they're like, this is a good thing to do. Like I said, it's more grounded in basic psychology than their own opinions. So it's pretty good on that regard of just giving the model without feeling like it's try to jam it down your throat or asking you to join a cult. So very low bumptious score, which is a very good thing. Other things about this book, though, that can be hard or get in the way is that they do talk a lot more about the organization and bringing it into big groups. So it can be used personal or the big organization. So if you have if you have a harder time actually being able to take ideals and apply them to you personally without it being directly handed to you, it can be a little harder because you do need to have that the ability to cross discipline to really just focus on yourself. So using this model personally versus with a big group, there's pros and cons to both. When you were using it in an organization and personally, it's kind of nice because you have a lot of pressure and motivation to actually get down to do the work. If you're in a group and everyone's doing it and they really want you have it as a group found things that you need to work on, there's a lot of motivation there to be able to actually work on it. So that's the harder part when you're doing it personally, because you're only talking with yourself, so it's really easy to give yourself the free pass. But it's a lot easier though if you actually can get the motivation and be honest with yourself to do it, rather than actually having to do it in a big group. Because in a big group, they're deciding what you need versus you are deciding on what you want for your own personal growth to integration. So there's pros and cons to doing it. I personally like doing it as more of an individual and just using it for my own integration. So that's where I like the book. I listened to the audio book, and I do find the audiobook to be pretty good quality. The person reading it is very, you could tell that he's enjoying talking about the subject and things like that. So that gives, the good flexions of the voice. He doesn't sound monotone. So it's a very weighty book. So there's only so much you can do about that in an auto recording, but it's a pretty good audio book. And the actual book, of course, is really good for reference. So that's Immunity to Change. I'll have the link to the Amazon in the description. So yeah, I really recommend checking the book out and diving in and seeing what you can do about your own immunity to change. Thank you for watching. See you next time.